and welcome. It's SVPod on location. Stanford Steve, Scott Van Pelt with you. For those listening, you're not seeing. For those seeing, how about our spot?
Huh? Come on.
We're on location here at Valhalla. 106th PGA Championship this week. Coverage on ESPN plus ESPN, our friends at CBS. And we've been out there on the ground already.
Yeah?
Little recon.
Putting some work in.
I'll tell you who's put some work in. Gordo. Bang, bang. Double hammer coming. We owed folks a double hammer from the Masters. We thought maybe we'd have this up and going. Pre-Masters didn't happen.
It did win, though.
About that. So I'm walking around the grounds at Augusta National. SVP, we getting a double hammer? People are like jonesing, like junkies. Little intel I got from our guy Gordo. Spieth top 20. I'm like, Spieth top 20. Okay. Like, I think he's no phones at Augusta, but I think he was ready to fire immediately.
Got the gist.
That did not cash, but there was a change. Gordo changed the official double hammer.
Wow.
At Augusta. Same guy later in the week. VP double hammer, no good, buddy. I'm like, actually,
Changed.
it was a change. Safe. So the good news this time is straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
Our guy Gordo's coming live and direct from Valhalla with a double hammer. We've got obvious playoff stuff to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to that.
Yep.
But we are sitting here in Louisville.
Yeah.
And we're taping on a Monday. The weather is great on a Monday. It appears there's biblical monsoons to come. Animals pairing up 2 by 2, things of that nature. It doesn't sound great for Tuesday. It doesn't sound great perhaps for Friday. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
When do they get to the cut? These are not questions we have the answers to. In the short term, we can tell you this. This is a proper big boy major championship venue.
Mm-hmm.
You've been saying, and I think for our listeners and viewers that they've learned that you have come to love major championship golf as much as anything.
It's my favorite pro sport.
Why?
Having the access that we have today, going out on the course and walking, like you get to see. I get to see something I never knew about. I didn't play golf when I was young. I don't golf, but the mental aspect, and then seeing the course, and what it brings to the table, and just knowing what's at stake, man. Like these guys, Tiger changed it. You are based on how many majors you win.
That's true.
That's just the norm. And to me, what's at stake, and everybody has their own way of going about things. You have guys that have experience. You guys have guys that have had success, and then you have guys that just can't get there.
Well, it's hard. It's hard to win.
Yeah.
It's hard to win. Look at Xander Schauffele. Look at Xander last week at Quail Hollow. Quail Hollow will host next year's PGA Championship. Charlotte, what's up? Coming in hot. And Xander, the first couple of 2-3 days, is off to a fairly big lead. Here comes Rory. Shoulders bopping.
Had the pop in the step.
You got the bob and you get the Bob and Rory. Have fun. He won here. He's won 4 times at Quail Hollow. It's hard to win. Xander's trying to knock the door down and win in any event at the moment. He's been close all year, but to finally win in a major, and there's a ton of dudes that have won them. And that's the thing. Like when you get here, to have the odds that are as short as like Scheffler's are crazy. But he's in that rarefied air where if he wins again this week, you go, well, yeah, sure, why wouldn't he? But they're incredibly difficult to win. And when you become a forever player, when you can win one of these, which is why, like my guy Andy North, our guy Curtis Strange, they both won a couple U.S. Opens. It's just hard as shit to win one, man.
Yeah.
To do it twice, like you got to have a gear that very few have.
Yep. And we walked with a guy today that's won 5.
Well, on this Monday morning, you just stroll out to the range and you see who's there, and like, hey, can we take a walk with you? And these are guys we've known. I've known these guys a long time. Gary Woodland, one of the all-time great dudes in the world.
Best.
Gary's feeling better, getting better, which is great news after the scare with the surgery, has a lesion on his brain. You got Brooks Koepka, who's just coming off a win on the Live Golf, and then you got DJ, who you just look at the guy, and you're like, if I had the first pick in a draft for just whatever guy, like I always said, he walks like a panther. He doesn't what's the Jay-Z line? I walk like a ball player. Wherever you are who you are, player. That's DJ. And he's won a couple. Gary won the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach, and obviously Brooks has got a pot full of them. So you got dudes that know how to do it. And Jeff Darlington, our buddy, who does a great job covering the NFL and is with us covering golf, was with us at the Masters. I think he couldn't figure out what was going on. Like afterwards, he was like, we're just walking around and we're talking about the playoffs and football. I'm like, yeah, that's what it is. Like, what are we going to be like? Hey, so, what do you like a mashy niblick here? What do you like here? Like, there's a certain amount of intel, a little recon, but I think that, and I'm not saying like we're choice A1 or 1A or whatever to walk within a practice round, but you see Brooks, he's ready to talk his Panthers, man.
Yeah.
He's fired up to talk Panthers coming back from down 2-0 in Game 4 to win. I think he got back direct from the event overseas on Live and went right to the game at home. And we're obviously hardwired to talk about that stuff. So hopefully we can be decent company, and then hopefully we can ask a few questions and not get in the way. But it really is, it's so instructive to see how they approach the holes. Where, like, there's a short par 4, it's the 4th. And it was just really interesting to see the Koepka idea of, well, if they move the tees up where you could have a go at it as a short par 4, I don't want to do this because here's why. And he's taking you through the reasons why. Whereas DJ's like, no, it was Woodland. Woodland's like, I'm firing at it. Like two guys, two totally different ideas. And that's very helpful if you're the guy that's going to sit there for hours talking about, the golf, ESPN Plus and ESPN with the coverage. And we typically, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we'll go out and wander with these guys just to, because each guy's got his own sort of ideas, and it helps give you a little bit of a sense of the approach that they're going to take trying to figure out how to get to Sunday night.
And that's why this place is awesome, because there's a lot of different approaches you could take. 7, you got the left fairway, you got the right fairway.
It's a par 5 with a choice off the tee.
6, how far do you want to go down the fairway to get it over, hit it over where you have to get to over on the green? I think it's absolutely fascinating how this is going to play out. There are guys, you mentioned Rory, he's had success here.
Yep.
And it's really, really cool to see, because I think for the first time in a while, at least, I've been to 2. JT comes back and just hangs in the mix down in Tulsa and gets it done. Last year, Koepka, after not playing well on that last day of the Masters, comes right back to the next major and says, I'm the best player here, come catch me. And nobody could. And you talk about the guys that have won this, but so many guys have been that close and that strive to keep getting there. That's what I love about this. And this course is going to bring all of that into account. Because you got long hitters that are going to go about their business. You got your iron guys that are going to go do it the way they want to do. But the biggest thing possible, too, you got to be able to putt. We know that, and that's what it's going to come down to. But how close are your putts going to be? That's where I think those people off the tee are going to think of a little bit different about their approach.
It's a big ballpark. You're going to have
everybody. That's what everybody's talking about.
You're going to have to be able to move it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the modern game. Like, there's not a lot of folks that are, 220 off the tee. But I mean, there goes Will Zalatoris, ball hitter.
Okay, ball striker.
He's a ball striker's ball striker.
Pretty good.
Would you rather be a shot maker or a ball striker?
Shot maker.
Shot maker. Shout to our guy Sean Salisbury. It was a philosophical conversation. Shot maker, ball striker. What do you want to be? You got to be a good ball striker to be a shot maker, though, I think.
And to amplify things, the last guy his last major, Rory, wins last week. His last major, he won here. Like, that's everything you want going into a major. I was thinking, it's 10 years ago.
10 years.
10 years ago, I'm like, where was I in August 2014?
Where were you?
In Florida. My daughter, who's 10 now, was 1. And, like, looking at pictures, I was like, wow, I do remember that now. And that's 10 years. And, he's the talk every major. Is he going to get another one? 10 years.
Hard to win them, man.
I think it's been long for us. Think about what he's going through, but he's coming in red hot.
We haven't said the name Scottie Scheffler yet. I think maybe I did at the outset. Maybe. I mean, his odds are what they are for a reason. Didn't see him out here on this Monday.
He gets in today.
Okay.
Talking to sources.
Tuesday's going to be a washout. And then there's the how prepared are you for what the course asks. You go to Augusta every year, you know it, if you've been for a while, unless you're Ludwig Oberg.
It still doesn't get boring, right?
No, of course it doesn't. But I'm just saying there's an accumulation of knowledge. Unless you're Oberg and you've never played, and you're like, I'm fine. How about second? We watched him hit balls.
Oh my God! Talk about making it look easy.
He's gross. His clothes look good on him. Good hair, great smile, handsome, tall, swing. He's 22.
22.
Double deuce.
24?
24. Whatever. He's in his young 20s.
That's why Gordo's here.
Gordo's here. 24 allegedly. No, he came on SportsCenter. And I want to just linger and just introduce ourselves. Say hello.
Yep.
The thing about coming here, Gordo's going to give you some intel. The thing about you come here, and if you walk with any player, you're like, oh, I'm going to bet on him to win. Because they hit the ball better than we hit the ball. And so every guy you watch him hit it, and you're like, well, they're going to probably win.
Yeah.
Or they could.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to win. Really, really hard to win. The Rory thing coming in, and you're going to hear people say he's won 2 in a row. Did he? I get that him and Lowry won in New Orleans.
No, he did not win 2 in a row. It's
He's won 1 in a row. Scottie's won basically everything he's played since the spring. Missed a putt to miss a playoff, and he finished second in the one he didn't win. All he does is win. Shout out DJ Khaled. And Rory comes in off a win. Koepka comes in off a win. So in a year where golf hasn't had a ton of buzz, you come here to the one that we get to kind of cover wall to wall. It's exciting to have a bunch of big-time heavyweights.
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned John Rahm. He's pretty good.
Last we checked. Sure.
We got it all.
I'm just saying in terms of the people that have won coming in. You're like, this dude won, that guy won, this guy won. A lot of winners. And we'll be with you ESPN Plus.
Betcast.
All day.
ESPN 2, I'm going to be on.
Yeah, what's going on?
ESPN
Tell people about that.
We don't know. But we're throwing together a cast. We're going to try and have, we'll be touching on. We'll be able to show all the golf. I think Thursday from 11 to noon is the only place you can watch it. But yeah, we're going to be throwing some live wagers in.
Why wouldn't you?
Why not? We got access to it.
Gordo's going to need to keep his poise and focus on the task.
He's with you. You got to deal with him.
I understand that. I'm going to need some help from him with the cards, with the intel. He's going to be over there with you going, who's closest to the pin? Give me Molinari.
How about him running out to the course today, checking yardages, trying to confirm, make sure they're right?
This guy's not going to just hand out a double hammer willy-nilly.
He's not messing around. I just hope he can narrow it down. I think he's going to have multiple double hammers. It's been a while.
You kind of probably have 25 or 30 people top 20. It's just you root for everybody. That way you root for everybody. You're going to win? No, probably not. But at the end, you're like, oh, that's great. This guy got a double. He finished top 20.
Fine.
Hope the weather cooperates. There's nothing we can do about that. So Gordo's coming with a little double hammer. PGA Championship, the excitement of it, palpable, tangible. We're in Louisville. That means we ate steak on Sunday night.
Oh man!
Can we just give a tip of the wide brim cap to the legend Jeff Ruby?
Legend.
I mean, certain joints, like certain places, like such and such. Like in Tampa, there's a place Bones.
Mm-hmm.
No, excuse me,
no,
Burns. Atlanta is Bones. Beg your pardon. Atlanta's Bones. Tampa's Burns. In Louisville, Cincinnati, Lexington, among others, it's Jeff Ruby Steakhouse. Years ago, I've told this story. I was at a luau.
Mm-hmm.
It was the
Where?
Season opening. It used to be the Mercedes Championships at Cabo. Greatest place on earth. This Polynesian gentleman gave this very lengthy blessing, and then he got to the end and he said, the Cliff's Notes are, eat until you're happy. I like that. I like to eat till I'm happy. Well, I ate beyond the point of happiness because they bring this shoe.
Jordan.
There's a dessert. It's a Jordan, and it's chocolate mousse, and it's gold. And you're like, what? Just don't worry about it.
Put the knife in there.
So I had the one piece, and then you decided there needed to be an ice cream follow-up. There was a little container of caramel. There were double pours of that. And this was after we'd eaten the steak and the lobster mac and the things of that nature. There was discomfort. But the meal and the hospitality, spectacular.
Second to none. I eat fast. I came in last night eating their steaks.
You did.
You were like a wolf.
Yep.
Our guy Big Red came with us.
Red.
He was not messing around either.
Nope.
And I looked up and I'm like, I'm the only guy that has steak left. And you guys are chomping at the bit about dessert. I'm like, wow.
Good
steak
times.
burro, phenomenal. Cajun cream, Creole, over the top of a strip.
What we're telling you is if you get to this part of the world, you should try to get in there. I can't guarantee that
I feel like we're one, like I've never been. I came to the Derby once.
Yep.
I wasn't going to mess around trying to get there. Obviously, you hear about it, and it's the place to go. And I feel like we're in our group amongst people. I feel like we were the last ones to finally get to experience it.
Yep.
And we've been fortunate enough to be a lot of great places, and it's really hard to exceed expectations from you and I would say, to be safe.
Yeah.
It exceeded expectations by a landslide.
I would agree with that.
Unbelievable.
I would agree with that. So shout out to Jeff Ruby. I'm just telling you, be careful. Eat till you're happy, but then don't try to be happier than happy. I did. It was my fault, not in any fault of the establishment, other than that the food was too good, and your boy couldn't. I lost poise, lost contain.
First night.
No good. Then slept through the alarm.
Hey, now I wasn't going to touch that one.
0 to 10, 0 being no, I wasn't worried. 10, like, we're at an age like I could be dead.
When the front desk you didn't answer the call to your room.
0 to 10, nervous.
I was like, oh God, and literally you texted me. So my thinking is, totally slept through, heard the room phone ring, got up and was in a complete daze.
Not great. Room phone rings, pushed the phone, was supposed to be up an hour before. I'm like, oh shit. This is how we're starting? Better than dead, though.
Yeah.
Better than dead.
Pounding on the door. Are you in there? We don't have to go to that.
No jokes, man.
We're moving on.
That'd be a bad way to go out. The Denver Nuggets are not dead either.
Oof.
Huh? Down 0-2, hitting the road. People are throwing shovelfuls of dirt. Jokic, fake MVP. Heart of a champion, never underestimate it. Rudy Tomjanovich. There's that. There's Michael Malone making a cut up of talking heads.
You were nervous. You were nervous.
Post game Friday night, he's like, he made a video of all the people in our business that were they were absolutely just
advancing the Timberwolves,
burying Denver in a sweep, perhaps. So he made a tape, showed it to his squad. I know Coach Malone a little bit. I'm like, did I make the tape? Because I wasn't saying that they were done, because you know me, I'm rarely the guy to just call it a wrap.
Started contemplating the thought of it. We're going to have a new champion.
Minnesota looked the part. And then Denver with a reminder. And I think the genius of Michael Malone is the reminder to them, you're champions, act like it, play like it, behave like it, like reigning champions. I talked about that with Danny Hurley this year when he came on with this. I don't like defending champion. Brooks Koepka's not defending this week. He didn't defend anything. You can't take what is his. It's his.
Reigning?
That's the difference.
Okay.
And what did Hurley say to us? He said, this year we wanted to reign. We wanted to the idea being like a reigning champion means like you're acting. We are still the reigning champions. Well, Denver is until somebody beats them. And Michael Malone reminding his guys, you're the reigning champions, act like it. And then they did. And it's wild. Like, we talk about this all the time, going back to our days with Russillo, and obviously he and Simmons talk about that a lot because they are in this NBA lane.
Mm-hmm.
But the zigzag, the overreaction from one game to the next, it's really, it's hard not to fight that. And now in this series, it becomes hard to fight, well, Denver's going to win. Well, they might, but now it becomes a best of three. Two of them are in Denver if necessary. But Denver's got to go back home where they didn't win, and Minnesota's like, all right, well, maybe the hell with it. Maybe we just need to go on the road to find this again. But the scary recipe for Minnesota included, what, 45 for Ant in game 4?
Yeah.
44?
I think
Is that what it was? Well, it wasn't enough.
No.
You get that much from him, and you still lose in a game where you're really wasn't close for much of the second half.
Mm-hmm.
That's scary. And, you know, Denver, what was the secret? 2 or 3 seconds?
2 or 3 seconds. Get the ball over half court in 2 to 3 seconds, as Mr. Jokic told you.
That's what he's told us on SportsCenter, and we laugh, but he means it. Listen, it seems simple, but if you're Denver and you get the ball quickly to the other side, what does it do?
You don't have McDaniels waiting for you with that wing spin.
Come on.
Oh, my God, that guy's crazy.
Right. It doesn't allow the best defense in the NBA to really get set and deal with it. So, I don't know. That series totally changes at 2-2. And Denver with a massive reminder of who they are. I feel like the Knicks series totally changes just from at some point you were waiting for them to get absolutely trucked.
Mm-hmm.
They did on Sunday. And with no OG Anunoby and with all the injuries, at some point, like you'd look at the Knicks in these games where they're winning and you're like, how do they do this?
Yeah.
Well, now I almost wonder, like, have they been hit to the point in the fight where you're like, oh wait, I'm bleeding. Oh wait, I'm bleeding a lot. I don't know if they have enough at this point to win 2 more games.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how that series turned on that shot by Nembhard. When you looked at what the Knicks did, you figured in order to win the series, you go to Indiana, win one, put even more pressure on the Pacers. But you talked about it. We talked about it before the series started, about who was going to dictate. And with the Knicks injuries, they are a big man down that scored 20+ in the games in the Garden. And now you go on the road to Indiana, who's a team that you know wants to push pace, play helter-skelter, be as hectic as possible. They're not going to worry about standing in front of anybody on the defensive side, but they're going to say, we're going to make more 3s than 2s. And it was a blowout yesterday. But as soon as it got to double digits in the first quarter, I'm like, they can't trade. They can't trade 2s with 3s. And credit to Indiana, man. Like, it says to lose those first 2 games the way they did,
right? Well,
like that's excruciating.
Could have won both.
And to come back in resounding fashion and put the stamp on, I don't like my chances with the Knicks. What they've looked like now, it's a 3-game series, or 2 out of 3.
Right.
We'll see, but if you don't believe in momentum, I do. And I don't think the Knicks have much right now based off of what happened yesterday with Indiana tying things up. I will say, last week on the pod, I talked about Denver, and I bet them when they were down 0-1. Just because it couldn't be that easy. And Game 2 was even worse.
Yeah,
and I'm like, do I fire again? Denver
did
was
you?
No, I did not. Denver was plus over 500 when they were down 0-2. Indiana was plus 300. So think about that. The reigning champs were more of a dog to come back in the series against Minnesota. Now, I get it. They were going on the road, and they had to get 2 back on the road, whereas Indiana was going home to get to 2. But just to think about the perception, not even 7 days ago, and that's what it was. The reigning champs are dead, and they look as alive as anybody in the whole playoffs. And we haven't even touched the other 2 series because they're not as interesting.
Well,
we'll see what OKC.
Boston.
But the Boston thing, not interested.
Well, Cleveland shot it great in Game 2. They lost Game 2 at home to Miami. I don't see. Is Cleveland really going to win 3 of the next 4 games?
I don't see it.
I just don't see a path to that. And again, I always just want to acknowledge anytime something that was the sort of Russillo intellectual property, like can you have a good year without winning a title? I'd say Cleveland has, although the question about where's Donovan going to be long term, I think that's out there, and I don't know many people that think it's Cleveland.
I also put the Knicks in that conversation because you could already see the people that don't like Tibbs, this is a huge success this year, no matter what happens.
Yeah.
But all they're going to talk about is blowing a 2-0 lead. Well, if they were to lose this series.
Yeah, but be reasonable. You also lost 2 more people in the series.
That's what I'm saying. That's a great season. Did it end the way you wanted? Did you want to take that next step? No. And I'm not saying it's over now, but I could already see how things happen in this business. Again, less than 7 days ago, the reigning champs were done.
What if OKC loses its series against Dallas? Are people going to frame it as a good year for them?
I would. I don't think the majority of people will.
I think you and I are probably in a minority when it comes to that. I don't think people.
It's usually the case,
you're
right?
the one.
We're always in the.
We tend to be,
right?
We're smarter than other people mostly. Well, I think we're more reasonable, and maybe it's black and white. Maybe it's how could you say this if you're the 1 seed and you get beaten this year by Dallas? Mm-hmm. Well, the last game was kind of coin flip. Kyrie invented this left-hand float game,
unbelievable.
It's like a left-hand running hook. You know how hard that shot is to do? Try it. Or if you're left-handed,
if you're righty,
if you're left-handed, try dribble to your right, and then try to throw up this a soft. I'm talking about actually shoot it, because he's shooting it. Your left was good. You always told me.
Oh yeah, made it a point.
Not really.
Larry Bird drive video when I was little.
It's about the fundies, kids.
Whole off season in '86. All he did was.
Dad would make me do the left-hand dribble and the layup, and it would not be a lot of fun. What I'm telling you is not ever could I do a hard left-hand dribble floater.
God.
And he's hit a couple of monster shots of those.
Yeah.
And at 32, like we talked about this, I think last week, like he's like looks at himself as the old head, and I guess when you're going up against Oklahoma City, you are.
Yep.
But I mean, look, OKC has a chance, and we're talking on a Monday to get back even tonight. I said last week I'm looking at Dallas in that series.
Yeah, you did.
But even having said that, I don't think they're shook. I don't think OKC can't win Monday night and get right back in this thing. Obviously, you'd like Dallas better because you only have to win 2, and OKC has to win 3. But the playoffs have been a blast so far. It's been busy for us. It's a nightly thing. We get a respite this week.
Late nights.
They are.
Now we got early mornings. And you failed this morning. You're 0-1.
When you know that Thursday morning at whatever time it is that the first ball is in the air and that you're the one that's supposed to do it.
7 a.m. in the East.
I always stress Eastern. I stress about the alarm set. I was watching the end of the Oilers Canucks game, and I think I must have just gotten flummoxed and not hit alarm set.
Okay.
I didn't do the AMP.
I know people just want to use their phones all the time. You know what you could do?
Yeah.
Just tell the people at the front desk. That's what woke you up today, that phone.
Correct.
So it works.
Yep.
Maybe give me a little wake-up call. All right?
Trust me when I tell you. Like that call will be made for Thursday.
There we go. We're making progress already. One day in.
I haven't missed it. That hasn't happened that I can recall ever. And that was not a jarring way to wake up.
Don't let it happen again.
No. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about those Canucks. We looking at suspension there. McDavid gets high load, Malachi crunch. Shout out to those that know.
After zeros on the clock.
He did take a swing. Took a swing, but he got high load in a big way. Are we going to get some suspension there?
You always make fun of the unwritten rules of baseball.
Yep.
I don't know anything about hockey, about protocol and the right things to do, sportsmanship in hockey. Like, I don't know any of that. And I just watch the games and love the hell out of all of them.
Me too.
But, like, how doesn't Bennett get suspended for punching Marchand? Like, and he scores the backbreaking goal last night, and then this Vancouver thing feels like a fiasco too. I just don't understand how there's been no statements made, and but again, I don't have anything to say because I don't know.
Nor do I. I defer to it was a TNT game for this one that we're talking about with Edmonton and Vancouver, and so like Biz wasn't reacting like it was he's like, oh, he got him a little high there, and I'm thinking
it is the face of the league.
It's tough when McJesus is getting blasted in the back and then he's like, oh, that's in the jugular. And I'm thinking, well, it can't be great.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm with you. I don't have.
I don't know it.
Right. There's unwritten rules. There's protocols.
I respect it and I love it. But well, I'm not going to pretend like I know.
Nothing could be a greater point of how different that sport is than any other sport. Let's take Indiana and New York, and let's just say Halliburton and Brunson. And say that Carlisle and Tibbs look at their guys on the bench.
Want to go?
And Brunson's like, hey, I got to fight. And Tibbs like, go get him. And Carlisle's looking at his guy, and Halliburton's Halliburton's looking down the bench at Brunson. If next time they check in, they don't even go to check ball. It's just like, come on, put him up. Like we're in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou on the front of Woldrips or whatever the name of that show is.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I am the damn paterfamilias. And he punched him in the face.
You and Reese Davis love that movie.
Some of the best dialogue ever is in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? But think about if that actually is going to happen. And then they go out and fight. And then at the end of the night, if Tibbs is like, I thought it was great. And then Carlisle's like, that was awesome. Because that's what Richard and, Maurice. That's what Maurice and Montgomery said afterwards about their guys. It's like, thought it was great. And in the context of that sport, it was, because these are two star players that are like, we're going to fight it. Look, Pasta got his head knocked off, but then to his credit, he stayed in the scrap, man.
Yeah.
I got to think if you get hit square in the noggin and your hat calls, like that's where I'm probably like, no, I'm good.
Coming from a guy that's happened to him before, you do have a holy shit, I just got punched in the face. But that's natural reaction. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get the next one.
The caveman gear kicks in.
Yes.
Well, it did for Pasta, and so I don't know. Like, there are clearly rules in that sport that we don't traffic in. We don't understand them necessarily, but we appreciate.
Yes, but on top of all of it, this is some serious big boy stuff that the Panthers have done.
Yeah.
Down to after all that with Marchand and Bennett, and Boston comes out, Swayman's playing out of his mind. They go up 2-0 after one period.
Yep.
And for Florida to come back and win that game in that building, that's some DNA. Where, you know, what do they say, championship
DNA.
That's some really, really legit stuff. And this, you'd want to talk about a scrap. We even got a big. Every game, the stakes have been higher, and the moments have become bigger. And Florida's gone 3 in a row now. I can't imagine what Game 5 is going to bring to the table.
Right, because they play a year ago. Florida scores the first goal of the series, and then Boston scores the last 5, Game 1. Then they score the first goal in Game 2, and then from that point on, it has been an absolute
ambush,
avalanche. And obviously, Game 2 ended with what happened in the ton of fights and all the game misconducts, what have you. They go up and win Game 3, then they are down 2-0 and win Game 4, and so that whole Boston, New York, like, you think you might get it in the NBA, you think you might get it in the NHL, maybe you don't
get either.
Maybe you don't get either. I mean, if you're the Panthers, listen, sorry about your TV matchup. Sorry about your big Northeast market matchup. We don't care, and nor should they.
No.
Rangers, it would appear, they get a chance to go home again. It's on a Monday. The Hurricanes are finally on the board. It's interesting. We're walking and talking about the Panthers and Koepka, and we agree. It's like there's something about the Hurricanes where it's like they're clearly a really good team. But then there's this ceiling they hit their head on in the postseason. It's like, why is that? And like, well, who's to say? I mean, that's like, why are there some guys that just you can't figure out how to win a tournament, or what makes certain people great in majors? I think it's hard to win when the air gets the hardest to find. You know what I mean? And this time of year it does.
I think sometimes you got to tip your hat to the other team too for making the most of the opportunity. It's not always on that team.
But it's
part of sports, man. Somebody's got to lose.
I get it, but look at how New York won the games 2 and 3, and it's like, what's the difference between winning and losing those games? It's fractional. It's a goal. It's a bounce. And so after the Rangers tied it up and had a chance to sweep, I mean, you can't fake desperation. I say that all the time. At least Carolina gets on the board. They get a chance to send it back to New York. But I feel like there's always pressure in Game 5. You don't want to hit the road for Game 6 because you start doing the math and go, shit, we lose this game, and then we're going to have to win a Game 7 in our building. Like, just when you can end it, especially in these sports, you could cut people's limbs off. And you're like,
everybody knows it too, but you still got to go do it.
I'm bleeding a lot, but I'm going to just keep moving forward.
On skates.
Correct. What do we got? Dallas 2-1.
Dallas is damn impressive, man.
I agree. Otter.
Watch out for them.
Otter.
They're deep, and I don't overlook what they did in the first round. Like, you go down 0-2 in your own building to the reigning champs, and you come back and win 4-5. That's big boy stuff.
And again, the championship DNA. Vegas, since they've existed, has only been in important games. It seems like game after game, and it's always. I always wondered about that with Boston. Like, after you survive the way they did, are you out of gas, or do you like get the wind in your sails and you just steamroll? Well, I mean, we've seen the answer. Dallas, clearly they weren't out of gas so far as they lead that series 2-1. Vancouver's up 2-1 after the Sunday night win in Edmonton. What did Draisaitl say about the goalkeeping? He said posts, it's not good goalkeeping. If you hit the post, it isn't good goalkeeping. Edmonton in the second period, they rattled 3 off.
3.
Shout to Timmy B, the iron unkind.
Pipes.
I just watch Edmonton play, and I feel like they're going to score 10 goals every game, especially in the power play. Like other teams,
it's like
I
they're
root
in
for the
slow
Caps.
motion.
The Caps on the power play does not look like Edmonton.
Great.
Does not look like Edmonton on the power play.
Nope.
But we've enjoyed the sports centers throughout the playoffs. By the time we get back a week after this, we will have thinned the field out a little bit more, which is kind of a bummer. You don't get it nightly the same way.
Yeah.
But the games are more important.
One more thing before we get into business with Gordo.
Go.
We touched on it the other night in work. Your phone.
Yeah.
What are we going to do about it?
All right. So here's what this means. The speaker doesn't work if you try to talk in it. So what I do is I just talk into the speaker.
For almost since September.
What I didn't know, but was shared with me by my coworkers, shout to Maddie, Madison Medor. She gets it done. She's a very important part of everything. When we would get to the Monday Night Countdown, we'd land Monday, and I'd do Michael Kay's show in New York. Shout to the fellas.
Every Monday.
Well, it would be almost always when we would land on the plane and be in the car driving to the venue, and I can't hear in the phone. I'm also deaf, so there's that. So I just talked into the speaker, and I would do it. I'd hold the phone up like this, and I'd just do the little hit with Michael and
About 15 minutes.
Don and Peter. Well, what my coworkers didn't have the stones to tell me was that that apparently bothered them. Apparently that was real inconvenience for them, and they'd like me to not do that again moving forward. I'm like, oh well, okay, you could have said something. They didn't say anything until May. So what you'd like me to do is get a phone where the ear thing works.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
When we need to make a change with you,
Yep.
I usually go to your wife. It's happened. I tried AirPods. I said, hey, how about we get Scott AirPods? He's on his phone all the time, and maybe some earbuds. You won't wear the earbuds.
I don't know how to
AirPods.
charge them.
They have things. It's the same thing that charges your phone. The hearing. We've addressed that.
I got some hearing aids. You know what? I just want to say this.
I haven't reached out to her, but I'm wondering if she could just, because you're not going to do it.
Well, the phone still functions, and all I got to do is hit the speaker.
Every conversation you have to talk on speaker. Those are like the worst. Think about when you're out to eat. You get the loud.
I leave the room when I do this,
and we can still hear you. But like the people that do FaceTimes in public in a restaurant,
I don't do
that.
Those
people are the worst.
I don't do that.
You're on the verge of getting there. So
okay. I feel this is kind of like an intervention.
Fix it. That's all I'm saying.
It's like with Christopher in the Sopranos. I feel like.
All right, get it taken care of.
All right, so it's time for a new phone.
There you go.
Or I'll just get earpods. I do need a new phone because there's like we've reached the point. What's it? Planned obsolescence where stuff stops working. But to the suggestion that I'm like the person on the phone, because if you're if you're sitting on the plane, and you're like, no, I don't know. Shut up. Don't do that. No one wants you to do that. No one wants you to do that.
I didn't say you were one of them. I said
you said I'm on the verge.
You're on the verge. You're climbing towards that. Okay.
If I'm at work, I'm doing work stuff. Although probably at work it's not work stuff. All right.
There you go. Good.
Time for Gordo?
Progress. Yeah, let's do it.
Steve just dropped the hammer on me. Got to get a new phone. Here comes Gordo.
Bring him in.
You mic'd up, Gordo?
Mic'd up, AirPods.
Oh, you got it.
Easy to charge. We'll work on it.
I have certain things about me that make me peepaw, and not being able to understand how the ear. I got headphones too that I don't know how to charge those.
Oh.
For those of you that are listeners to the pod, you know that the last one we did last summer was the title was Not Good with Flags.
Not great, yeah.
Not great with flags.
New Zealand, Australia.
And this was because Gordo was on with us last year around the Open Championship, and it was time to drop some double hammers. And if you're not a gambler, then this segment you could just you should still listen because this is information that's useful and interesting.
I would like to point, Gordo, if you're new to the pod, new listeners, Gordo. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey.
You do work for us.
Yes.
At the company. You're a researcher.
Yep.
Diehard golf guy.
Yes.
What's the handicap at?
It's just at a 5.6 index.
So is it a 5 or a 6?
A 5.6.
Index.
We got decimals.
We were given the rundown. You were standing.
So you're
over
closer
there
to a 6 than a 5.
In the wings.
Thank God. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big boy golf course. That feels like the description of what we got here. It's a big ballpark, isn't it?
This place rocks.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. This exquisite.
You better know.
Exquisite place.
Feels like it.
For the first time, we walked the first 6 holes.
It's not a golf course that has, like, you go to some major championship venues and there's centuries of history, an old course or whatever. Here, it doesn't have a century of history, but the events that have been played here, you want to go back to Kenny Perry and Mark Brooks in a playoff, you've got Tiger Woods and Bob May in a playoff, you've got Rory in the darkness, there's been a Ryder Cup here. I mean, it's produced remarkably compelling play. all anyone wants to know, though, is how do they win money? What are we focusing on? Key factors.
Let's start out with the definition of a double hammer for those that don't know.
15 units. It's a singular bet, and it's no shorter than minus 120. So Xander's minus 150 for top 20 this week, which is an automatic play. It's not the double hammer because that's too short.
Okay.
Understood. It was the double hammer at Oak Hill.
Yes.
And you were gripping walking at home, weren't you?
He was, yeah. That was his fourth straight top 20 of what is now 8 straight top 20s for Xander.
So that's just a blanket, just blind play.
Minus 150.
But that's
Lay it.
Absolutely send it.
Okay.
Right. What factors are we looking at this? Like each venue has certain things that are indicators, right? You at the Masters, it's greens and regulation almost always are a great indicator of who's going to play well because you're just not going to score well if you're not on those greens. Even if you are. A couple years ago, Scottie Scheffler led in greens and regulation, but didn't putt well. Was last in the field in putts. So there are certain tells. Are there things about this golf course that you've looked at? You're like, this is important from my terms of the research I'm doing.
Only a couple because we haven't seen it since 2014. But you've got 6 par 4s that are 470 yards or longer. So par 4 scoring on that distance and longer is a key factor that you should consider. And then more of it, I think, is recent form with how these guys are playing, because we don't have the yearly rotation of this track.
Sure.
And there's several people that haven't played here before. But if you can find the par 4 scoring, which I think could be a differentiator, and some course comps with other Nicklaus designs and Muirfield Village, wherever you think.
People say that. Do you buy it just walking it? Do you think I could see it, but I mean I don't know that it's.
I do see it. I don't put a ton of weight into it, but I think you would agree with this. To players' eyes, if several holes on a track fit their eye, that makes them more comfortable. That's a real thing.
Sure, but I mean, I don't know. We step up on the second hole. It's 500 on the card, and it's a par 4, and I'm looking at that, and all I'm thinking is like, all right, this is an easy 6, and we move to the next tee. Obviously, Brooks, DJ, and Gary Woodland aren't thinking that, but there are a bunch of those really stout, lengthy par 4s.
It's incredible that the winning scores here have all been double-digit under par.
I know it.
That's crazy.
Now there are what I like about it. I mean, I'm curious how you see it. I love a golf course that gives you different. There's like a course that gives you. There's only one way to play it. That's not interesting to me. A course that provides several options and says, listen, if you can go this way, good for you. You want to take it the other way, where that option is available to you as well. I think that's why a lot of people like links golf. If it's not forced carries. It's just shoot. What's the lowest you can shoot? Have at it this way. Have at it that way. There are different fairways you can hit. One of the par 5s gives you an opportunity to go left or go right. And I think that makes it interesting because there are some short par 4s, and your point is well taken. That as big as it is, it's not like 6 under is going to win here.
Yeah, because you had Rory at 16 under, Tiger at 18 in 2000, and Bob May was at 18 as well. So you had 2 guys that deep.
That's the thing about Bob May that none of you all would have been. I mean, it's 24 years ago. My God, I'm old. But I look at a guy like Bob May. That's the best week of his life. Never played better.
Good for him.
Couldn't have played better. And 2000 Tiger is absolutely Superman at the peak of his powers. And Bob May, Bob May is this big, and he's throwing haymakers, and he made Tiger Woods be great to beat him. And unfortunately for Bob May, Tiger Woods was. And like you got a little left to right slider on 18. That's a hard putt for a right-handed guy to make. And it's never anywhere but in. And then, of course, in the playoff, he's chasing after it and pointing at the ball and all the rest. Like, Bob May was great. And they always say that people don't remember who finishes second. Well, that's wrong, because if you finish second to Tiger and you're Bob May, everyone remembers that dude. But that was a week where he could have become, like we said, a forever player.
Yeah.
He could have become a major champion. And instead, he's a footnote, because it was 2000 Tiger, who didn't lose golf tournaments.
I hope that happens this week with Scheffler. Because Scheffler right now is playing better than Tiger in 2000.
You heard it.
Hot take.
It's numbers. The math says that
it's
he's
just
better.
math. Don't get mad at the math.
You know how we feel
Give me
about
some.
math.
Show your work, then.
me a stat.
Show your work.
So Scottie's got 5.5 birdies or better per round this season. 40 rounds, none over par. 5.5 birdies or eagles. The all-time record in a single season is 2000 Tiger at 5.2.
Okay.
Let's talk bogeys. 1.5 per round for Scheffler this season. 1.76 is the all-time single season record, which was also 2000 Tiger. So Scottie, as of now, which it could regress to the mean with a couple more majors, but as of right now, Scottie's breaking those two figures, which Tiger holds both of them in 2000.
Right.
Knowledge.
So,
That's
math.
knowledge.
Well, it's just math. And we have said forever you can argue with opinions, but you can't argue with facts, and those are facts. And I've said this as plainly as I can, that any comparison to Tiger, I resist doing, because it's absolutely not fair to Tiger Woods, because he's earned the right not to be compared to somebody that's playing well for a little bit of time. But I think it's fair to say, for what you're saying when it comes to Scottie, because this isn't a week or a month. I mean, now we're, what's the old boomer TJ line? Once is an accident, twice is a trend, three is a problem. Well, I mean, Scheffler has reached the problem stage of who he is in the game, which is why his odds are as short as they are. Do you like him to play well here this week?
Of course. I mean,
he hasn't finished outside the top 20 in like ever.
The baby is a wrench that who knows if that's going to be a factor.
Wrench, baby.
I'm not playing him on my card because he's plus 350.
Yeah, what are we
You
doing?
could get Cam Smith for top 10 at plus 330.
Oh,
wow.
That's on the card instead.
That's on the card.
That's on the card.
Now, give people your handle, Twitter handle, please.
dgord_tweets.
Because we're
It's
not
been
gonna,
like that for like 13 years, and I don't think it's changing.
Well, we're not going to give you all of his, because he's going to give you first round leaders. Have you had any FRLs hit this year?
I'm glad you brought that up because in the aspect of transparency, we know the double hammer has been 14 for 17 over the last 3 years, which is good.
We know that.
82.4%.
Not bad.
We have not hit an FRL this year. Haven't hit one dating back to Fleetwood at the Open. Not great with flags. He caught a share with Christo. And I think it's like 18 straight events, which is the longest FRL drought I've ever been on. Since I've been tracking the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe
fade him
due
or
for
maybe
an
it's
FRL.
due. Who knows with that? But
go ahead.
Before we get
transparency
into it, what's
is
the
key.
best story?
The best story of any winner this week is not Rory closing his drought. It's Jordan Spieth completing the career Grand Slam.
Wow.
That's accurate, though. That's accurate. It's the most exclusive club in the game.
It is. The 5 guys who have won the Slam.
Me?
You got that in you?
Oh, no.
You got one?
Yeah, Tiger.
There you go.
It's fine.
Who's the next youngest?
Jack.
Jack.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a pretty big gap.
Arnie?
Tiger, Jack, Gary.
Gary Player.
Oh.
No Arnie.
What did Arnie win?
PGA. No.
Wow.
What did he
PGA.
win? PGA, yeah. I always get confused
Yeah.
who didn't win what. Because Sam
There's
didn't
a
win.
lot of guys that were one away.
Right. What did
Really?
Sam win? U.S. Open? But there's 5, so this would be 6. And when you go to Augusta every year, because you go to Augusta every year, everyone brings up Rory.
Right.
And they always will. But you don't bring up the fact that Spieth, each PGA, next year, if he doesn't win this year, we'll go next year to Quail Hollow. Guess what? If Spieth wins, he's in the Slam Club. And then it's Aronimik, and then it's like wherever we go.
Only 5 guys have ever done it. But
By
he's
the
just
way-
not playing well, So
No,
maybe
he has
that's
not.
why
He hasn't played
he's
well.
not really making noise in that area. But to me, that'd be my number one. Number
Okay.
2 would be Tom Hoagie winning,
Oh.
and then Scott owes me clubs for the Cantlay bet.
Yeah, what's the bet?
I don't
Do you
know.
know who you have?
I don't know. He's
He has
got 25 guys.
I got 5 guys. He's got
Who are the
Cantlay.
5?
Victor Hovland, Sungjae Im, Tom Hoagie, Aaron Wise, and Davis Thompson. Only
To
4
win
in
a
the field.
major before Cantlay does.
One of them to win a major before Cantlay for a free set of clubs, and if Cantlay wins one first, then
You got to shave your head.
I got to make my head look like yours.
Nice.
I want odds just real quick before we get to the double hammer and other plays. 2030 PGA Championship is at Congressional, which is directly across the street from my house. Will I be doing anything PGA Championship related in 2030 for somebody?
Yes.
I hope
Us?
so.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I'll say yeah.
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 That's got to be juice,
That's only
too.
5 more. You're already here. It's 5 more.
I understand that, but I'm just telling you, at some point, you think of
You're going to tap out.
No, it's not
The
that.
alarm clock's not going to go on.
I'm actually he's gone. But I think of Boomer. Yeah, Scotty, I'm on the back nine.
Yeah.
As it turned out, Boom's playing 36. Emergency 9, let's keep it going. But I don't know. I started thinking about it. 2030, like it's.
Maybe that's the send-off.
Tip of the cap, and that'll do
Walk
it.
across the street.
Hell yeah, I love it.
Out.
Like get to Sunday morning and hand it off to CBS and say, "It's been
Guys,
fun.
I don't need a ride home. I
Nope,
can walk.
I'm walking home,
And I'm
and
not
that's,
walking back."
That's a wrap. My boys were doing the math on how old they're going to be.
Oh,
Because they're little and they like to figure out how old am I going to be when this?
math.
Yeah, they'll be degenerates out there smoking butts, stealing golf
So what?
carts.
Sam's gonna be what? 17?
No,
No.
he'll only be like 14 at the
Okay.
time. So
Oh, that's in his wheelhouse. He
yeah,
knows.
prime.
They're gonna be inside the ropes. All right.
Hell yeah.
Are we
All
ready?
right. Yeah. I without further ado.
Let's
right.
start firing
So we had 3 finalists
for the double hammer.
for the double hammer. Monday hammers, by the way.
This
Hey,
is
now.
very early. Normally we'd like to give you
Right.
more time, but we had
Well,
listen.
Check the Twitter handle. We just gave it to you.
Happy to do it.
Shout to
Updated.
Omaha for making this
And
happen. We appreciate you
It's
guys.
a true story, right? Monday of the Masters, it was Jordan Spieth. The report about his wrist came out on Tuesday. That was why we went to Willie Z.
I gave
First
the
alternate.
report to the patrons, and then
Tough
they
beat.
came back at me
Tough beat.
very, very displeased
Tough
about
beat.
that loss.
All right. Well, we're back.
But so first finalist was a Rory top 10 at -115.
Nope. Out.
Minus one.
Minus
what?
money. We
Minus 115 for a Rory top 10 was finalist number 1.
Okay.
Did not end up going that route.
That's gonna be a serious public play.
One, because it's likely to get chopped. But people, because of how good Scheffler was last year, like people don't realize that Rory ended last year with 10 straight top 10s, and he just won last week. Rory checked all the boxes. I don't know if I mentioned this off the top, but there's a 12-point inspection that you have to
12
go
point.
through.
To be a double hammer.
It's like the car advertisements where they're like,
Sure.
this is it's been checked by 30 safety whatever things.
Sure.
So over the last four years, we found a good 12-point ladder, and that was one of them. Rory
Okay.
top 10.
Okay.
But we looked elsewhere. Cameron Smith top 20, plus 150 as of this day.
That's intriguing because the get back's pretty nice.
Especially on 15 units.
Yeah. Yeah.
4 top 10s in the last 6 majors. No finish outside the top 35 in that span. 9th at last year's PGA, 13th at the previous year's PGA.
All right.
Exceptional short game. If the subject of the double hammer for any reason withdraws or has a report of a wrist injury,
Right.
Cameron Smith is
Just-
the first alternate.
Let's be clear. The folks that are sitting there right now going, just please tell me what the double hammer. They've already played Rory top 10.
Those are double hammer.
and-
They fit the 12-piece
Right.
criteria.
It's the
We
Gordo,
got 3 double hammers.
Yeah, it's the Gordo Carmax thing. Like you've already gotten like this is the report. So they're already playing those.
Yep.
Who's the double hammer 15 unit bet your tax return
official.
play on it?
All signs are pointing towards this is the ascension. We're at the bottom of the Max Homa contending in majors
Okay.
ascension.
All right.
And he is plus 130 for a top 20 finish this week. And he has been stamped with this week's double hammer.
2 hammers, double hammer, Max Homa top 20. Normally we normally have our walk with Max. We haven't seen him. Maybe Tuesday sounds like maybe a washout, and Wednesday maybe we'll have
We
to
gotta
walk
get
with him.
there. Yeah.
And we're gonna. I'll just tell you right now.
He's going to know by then.
Well, the word will be out. The word will.
be out.
What we're going to need to do is we're going to need to manage his mentals.
Right.
Because the pressure there, obviously, to be a double
14
hammer.
out of 17, 82.4%.
That's right. And look, I think Max, he's got such a great personality. So when people think about him, they think about his stuff on Twitter and how great of a person he is.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize how much of a stud he is on the golf course.
He played awesome
Oh.
at Augusta and just didn't make putts.
Didn't make putts, got a terrible break on Sunday with the bounce over the 12th green.
I agree with that. That was a tough
Concrete
one.
green.
He's been inside the top 20 in each of the last 8 major rounds dating back to the Open. So there was no back doors. He was contending. The the signs are pointing towards at this point next year. Oh wow, Max Homa's had 5 straight top 20s. Now he's 16-1.
And by then, the idea that you could have gotten him at plus money for a top 20 would be laughable.
It's kind of similar to where Xander is now.
I'm going to wait to tell him. That whole aim point thing is complete rubbish because I don't want it to mess with his brain. But eventually I'm going to have a conversation with him. I'm just going to say this, all that standing there and this, it's fake.
Maybe after he wins this week,
Right.
28-1.
Well, if he wins, then I'm going to let him. He should be able to keep doing whatever he wants. But it's my belief that like just eyeball it and hit the putt. Maybe it's because I don't understand it. Much like I don't understand how you charge earbuds.
AirPods. You got a pick?
Here
Yeah.
on the pod.
Let's have some fun.
Who you got?
I have 2, but it's because I walked with one today.
Koepka?
Yeah, Koepka looked unbelievable for those people wondering how he looked.
Really good.
The sound that his ball makes. That's the difference when I walk with these guys, which I only get to do this week.
Yeah. Sounds different.
It's the sound. It's not the distance. It's not the accuracy or the proximity on the approaches. It's the sound when the club, especially the irons.
Well,
it's absurd.
so I'm with you, but I mean, I've explained to people, every person I walk with, I walk away and go, he's probably going to win. Probably going to win. Koepka could fit that bill. Who else?
Morikawa.
Iron play. Like that a lot.
Yeah. Straight. X, gonna give it to you?
It's time. It's time. Messed around last week and was too good. I thought you don't want to win the week before, although obviously if you could win, you should win.
Yes.
I always feel terrible when I pick him because I always apologize. I'm like, I'm sorry I picked you again. But he's going to win, and then when he doesn't,
All right.
it's kind of like Scottie Scheffler, who probably will win anyway again. One last one on the way out.
I'm with you on X, but since you took him, I'll take Homa.
All right.
You got Homa to win?
28-1. Xander, Homa, and Cam Young.
Okay, so you got a double hammer. You got some picks to win,
And for all your FRLs and all that stuff, go to the Twitter handle.
Yeah, Sepp
Well,
Straka,
Wednesday?
Taylor Moore. We'll get into all that.
Wednesday?
Probably tonight.
Oh.
Or whenever this goes live.
All right, we're gonna say goodbye because we've got to get moving. We had I will be doing something in 2030 with the PGA Championship. That's exciting. I have a prop for you for ESPN Bet. Will Gordo have a dip in on the ESPN Bet during the breakfast hours Thursday morning? Will he have a dip in before 8 a.m.?
Yes.
It's an early dip.
Some people wake up and that's the first thing they
Minus
do. Scott.
700.
All right, so it's minus 700 that he will have upper and lower snooze from Gordo. Good to have Gordo with us. He'll be with us all week, helping make me look smart on the coverage. ESPN Plus for the early stuff, ESPN regular throughout the day. ESPN Bet, we got.
Yep, ESPN 2, Thursday and Friday. Over
You
on
can
the Plus.
cut.
Yeah, the deuce is going to get loose.
Loose on the deuce from Valhalla, and we will see y'all soon. What?
And Scott's going to get a new phone by July 1st. That's your time. July 1st, come on.
By next fall, when I'm in the car with you and I'm inconveniencing you by doing a radio interview with our dear friend Michael Kay, I'll make sure that I can actually hear in my headphones so that
Okay.
I'm not like the person on the plane. It's complete bullshit.
On the verge.
Hope everyone has a great week.